Good morning and welcome to all of you back to the Namaste experience on a brand new week. It is Monday and I am so grateful. I see some new faces and probably some new faces here as well. We are here to enter into the experience of whole, of one, of complete, utterly complete. Doesn't that sound good? Yes. To be utterly whole and complete. To know this, not just believe it, but to know it at the very core of our being. And traditionally, throughout history, one of the ways that we come into that knowing is yoga. How many of you have ever gone to a yoga class? Okay, almost everybody. I'm sure true for all of you as well. But more than likely, the yoga you went to was hatha yoga, doing asanas and poses, and that's one form of yoga. There are many schools or forms of yoga, and there is the form that all the yogis considered to be the highest. Anybody know what that is? Bhakti yoga. Because they say that it is the fastest and the quickest way into the experience of that wholeness, of that oneness. Because the experience of that wholeness and oneness is simply love. And Bhakti yoga is the yoga of love or devotion. And all the great traditions and teachers have always said this. When they asked Jesus, what's the greatest commandment? He said, you shall love the Lord your God with your whole heart, your whole mind, your whole soul. Every part of you, whole, complete. Give your heart. That's Bhakti yoga. So this is why it's the fastest and cleanest and clearest step into that wholeness or enlightenment. Of course, as we always say, we are enlightened now, always and forever. It just means you're filled with light. Now, it's the awareness of that we're seeking. Now, we begin with allowing that experience to penetrate the armor that we have built around ourselves to hold that light in. Imagine you're wearing a suit of armor, you know, those old suits that they would wear in medieval times. How they fought battles in that, I have no idea. But that's, you can hardly stand or ride a horse. I can't even imagine, but imagine it holding all of that energy in, all of that light that's within you, not letting it out until somehow it gets pierced. Now that energy can flow. That's what we're doing. That's what chanting can do. That's what devotion can do. So we're going to start off with the chant that we learned last week. And I invite you as we sing this to not just sing the words, but to really give yourself wholly, completely to the beloved, however you envision that. It could be a particular Christed being. It could be to the earth itself. You know, the God or the presence of the divine as you relate to it. But give your love, your devotion. That's the key. So the words are going to be, beloved, beloved, my heart is yours. And then the verse is, there's nowhere left for me to hide, for you are here by my side. There's nowhere left for me to roam, for I never really left my home. Okay? So give your heart completely. Beloved, beloved, my heart is yours. Beloved, beloved, my heart is yours. Sing that with me. Beloved, beloved, my There's nowhere left for me to hide, for you are here by my side. For you are here by my side. There's nowhere left for me to roam. There's nowhere left for me to roam. For I've never really left my home. For I've never really left my home. Beautiful. Beloved, feel that. Beloved, my heart is yours. The key is to give everything, hold nothing back. Beloved, beloved, my heart is yours. Surrender completely. Take a deep breath. If you want to experience the highest states of divine intoxication, this is one path into that. To sing, to chant, to love love itself, the essence and the source. Because when you give all of your love to the essence of love, guess what? You're swimming in an ocean of love. And then everything else that you could possibly need or see or desire or hope for aligns perfectly. Today's daily word says, world peace. I give my heart to peace, and peace flows from me into the world. I give my heart to peace. Isn't that what we were just doing? Mm-hmm. To say I give my heart to love is the same as saying I give my heart to peace. Mm-hmm. Just give your heart. The heart doesn't choose between anything, especially love and peace. So if we say, I give my heart to love, that's the experience, to give everything to love. Now, the key is to expect nothing, to receive everything. So often we think or believe that if enough of us give ourselves to peace, peace will prevail on earth. We have a peace pole right over here that says that in different languages. May peace prevail on earth. I've had the opportunity to travel around the world with the Peace Prayer International organization, my dear friends there, planting peace poles, doing peace ceremonies all over the world in places like Iraq, Hiroshima, Bosnia, planting peace poles, sometimes covertly, other times right in the middle. I remember planting a peace pole in Baghdad. Well, this was after Saddam Hussein. I was in Baghdad twice. The first time was when Saddam Hussein was still in power, and you couldn't walk more than 10 feet without seeing another big poster or picture of Saddam Hussein. I remember one time turning a corner, and there were big, the big highway billboards. There was a big billboard, and on it was a picture of Saddam Hussein selling spaghetti. Holding a big plate of spaghetti with a big smile. I thought, boy, I'm really in a strange place. When Saddam Hussein even sells spaghetti. And then right after he was ousted, I was back I invited leaders from many different traditions to come back, including Native American leaders. Chief Orville Lookinghorse was the Native American chief who came, and many others. And we did a ceremony at I guess it was the National Theater. The day before the ceremony, we planted a peace pole on the ground right outside the National Theater. And there had to be guards with machine guns surrounding us to plant that. Mm-hmm. And I remember one thing that happened the next day during the ceremony, which will lead more into this discussion on world peace. I have a very dear friend who lives in Jerusalem named Eliyahu McLean. I think some of you know Eliyahu. It's very strange, a nice Jewish boy with a Scottish last name. And he likes to think of himself as a plexidox Jew. No, a flexidox Jew. He's flexible. He's very orthodox, but he's also very flexible. And I invited him because the Jewish rabbi who was going to come with us to Baghdad couldn't make it. And I knew being in Israel, it was a much easier journey for him. But I didn't think ahead of time the response that I would get, bringing this very Jewish Orthodox man with the payes, is that what they call that? Yeah. And in fact, as soon as we arrived in Iraq, the people who were helping us, who were very, very open and allowing, they said, this is going to be a problem. So we obviously we love that he's here, but with, looking as Jewish as he looks, it's going to be a problem. So Eliyahu said, no problem. He took and he tied him in the back so it looked like a ponytail. But when it came time for this ceremony, a miracle happened. So we have a full audience at the National Theater, and each one of these leaders is going to come up and do a peace ceremony from their tradition. So Chief Orville Lookinghorse did a Native American peace ceremony. And I was kind of the MC. And when it came time for Eliyahu to come up and do a Jewish peace ceremony, you could, as soon as you walked up, at this point, his payas are down. He's dressed in a very Jewish fashion, which was great, but you could feel the agitation and the nervousness of the audience rise. And there was a translator up on the stage as we spoke in English, he would translate everything into Arabic. So Eliyahu began to speak in English, and then this man would translate. And I could feel the tension. I could feel the anger of this audience. How dare this Jew come to Iraq, a Muslim country, and preach to us about peace? You could feel it. You could cut it with a knife. So I did something. I was just following my guidance. I was in the back of the stage, but as he's doing his ceremony, I walked up to the translator and I just whispered to him, stop translating. Don't translate anything he says. So he stepped back, and at first Eliyahu was like, what's happening? And then he figured, okay, I'll just speak in Arabic. You see, I knew that Eliyahu spoke Arabic. So I didn't know why we needed the translator. So Eliyahu began to speak to them in their language, and a miracle happened. You could just feel the tension relax. He's speaking like us, directly to us. And you could feel this energy building. It was literally one of the most powerful moments in any peace journey that I've ever been on. Mm-hmm. When this audience that was ready to climb up there on the stage and do something not so great became his brothers and his sisters. I give my heart to peace, and peace flows from me into the world. That's what that means. I give my heart to peace without expectation. I'm not doing anything to get anything. I'm giving everything because this is my state, my natural state of being, to give everything, because I am one with God. I am the extension of the love and the loveliness of God, and God gives everything. Whatever God is, it's always giving. And when Eliyahu spoke to them in their language, that's all he was doing. And they responded, because we always respond to someone who's giving everything without expectation. It's not manipulative. It's not trying to get you to act in a different way. It just happens. And that's what happened that day. That was the first story that came to me when I read the Daily Word this morning. And then I also remembered something that Jit gave to me right before he left. As you saw, that he gave me a cute little lighter, and then he gave me a piece of paper. He knows that I love Nisargadatta. And so he gave me some beautiful quotes from Nisargadatta. And this one stood out. Here's what the question was. You keep on saying that I was never born and will never die. If so, how is it that I see the world as one which has been born and will surely die? Why do I see everything that will die? Nisargadatta says, you believe so because you have never questioned your belief that you are the body, which obviously is born and dies. You've never fully, completely questioned your belief that you are your body. So all you see is death. While alive, it attracts attention, your body, and fascinates so completely that rarely does one perceive one's real nature, that which hides behind. And just like Eliyahu beginning to speak in their language, suddenly that which hid behind steps forward. It's like seeing the surface of the ocean and completely forgetting the immensity beneath. The world is but the surface of the mind, and the mind is infinite. Peace is infinite. What we call thoughts are just ripples in the mind. When the mind is quiet, it reflects reality. When it is motionless through and through, it dissolves, and only reality remains. Only peace remains. This reality is so concrete, so actual, so much more tangible than mind and matter, that compared to it, even a diamond is soft like butter. This overwhelming actuality makes the world dreamlike, misty, and most of all, irrelevant. Irrelevant. Think of that. The world that you think you see, the world that you're trying to bring peace to is irrelevant. It has nothing to do with anything. Isn't that good news? In other words, stop trying to bring peace to the world. Stop trying to create a, first of all, I hate to tell you this, it ain't going to happen. We love to fantasize about what would it be like if there was only peace and harmony in the world. I mean, even in Star Trek, even when they figure that out on Earth, they go to other planets where it hasn't been figured out yet. So the perceptual world was made for that. It was made for us to see through. So when the lesson says, I give my heart to peace, and I add, without any expectation, what I do is I begin to fuel that which is true, that which is real, the experience of peace within. Now, of course, that's going to automatically extend, because that's all God does, is extend. That's all you do when you're in that relationship, that energy. You extend that which you believe yourself to be. Until now, you've extended a lot of drama, a lot of trauma, a lot of ridiculousness, all of which was, guess what word I'm going to use? Irrelevant. Has nothing to do with anything real, nothing to do with reality. What is real is you, the truth of you. Beneath the surface of your mind, your body, all of those attachments. So this is what we give our heart to. And when we sing devotional chants, that's what we're loving. We're not loving some God outside ourselves. We're loving that eternal reality within each one of us. And there's nothing more delicious. There's nothing more intoxicating. My only desire is to be drunk all the time. To always be drunk with that love. I've got it down to about half the time now. So I'm working on the other half. So I'm going to turn it over to another drunkard. You can just look into her eyes and you know she's a drunk. She's a drunk on love, and that's our dear Vicky. So good morning, Victoria.
Well, good morning, Brother James. Good morning, my whole wonderful family in Zoom land and in Aihihi. Namaste, everyone. So, boy, this was rich this morning. The first thing that hit me, what an exquisite example of planting peace poles all over the earth. And look at the great effort everyone in that organization has gone through to plant a peace pole here and there in war zones and all of these places, representing the universal call for oneness, for peace. And the truth is, the example is that we are the peace poles, and we have been perfectly planted right along time and spaces, perceptual walls and boundaries. We're everywhere. And when we recognize that we are the peace pole and the enemy is what we're perceiving, what our perceptions are showing us, nothing out there, but that our own perceptions have been the enemy, then we are starting to open to that presence of who we really are, that Christed self, our soul. And when we open to the enemy, to the enemy right where we stand, and refuse to engage it, refuse to believe in it any longer, and put all our belief into the soul, into our hearts, into the center of our own being, then it's inevitable that love and peace spring forth because it already is what we are. When we no longer look outside and name it as something external and recognize the thoughts in our mind could be the only enemy, and address it there and be able to say how simple and how silly and foolish and irrelevant our thoughts are, when we have access to a much broader, greater, true experience, then for me, it's like all I want to do is recognize how can I get to that experience all the time? And if not all the time, so what? At least I'm on my way to all the time. What in us connects us? What in us makes space within us to receive one another? That's what love does. Love receives one another. We make space within us for diversity of all kinds on the external level, because on the internal level, there is nothing but oneness in the same sense of presence, of being, of love, of sparkling, iridescent spaciousness that we already are. So we're here, I guess, to reveal that love is what we are, reveal that peace that does pass all the ego's understanding, is already within us. We just have to be desirous and want only that, want that contact. And it's so important when you say don't have no outcome, because every time we have an outcome, and for me, I see this as so simple. Every time I have an outcome, I've gone back to the land of the enemy. I've gone back to perception. I've taken what is totally spacious and eternal and limitless, and I've tried to identify it and limit it to some perceptual idea. And all that does is not right or wrong, good or bad. It's none of that. It just blocks that natural flow of what is limitless, that peace that just flows out from us as we stop blocking it. So every outcome is nothing but putting a limit on what is limitless. And I don't want to do that anymore. And what I feel is also happening is love is probably the highest yoga, that we are being brought into and shown and guided into a yoga of joy, a yoga of rejoicing, a yoga of joy and love without opposite. Because finally, we're not fighting anything external nor seeking anything external. So I'm on my journey to do that and catching myself every which way. I'm sitting here with Baraka this morning.
Oh, Veronica.
And yes, there he is. And that's our daily bread, to catch the enemy and know, my gosh, the enemy is us. So catch our thoughts, those little, what Jesus calls scraps of meanness. Don't let them get by. I can't let a scrap of meanness get by anymore. And when I do, I don't punish myself. I laugh at myself. Oh gosh, that's so silly. I don't want to do that anymore. And the correction is quick that way. And scraps of meanness, for me, because I'm really working on impatience, they come up a lot, so I get to see them. But recognize that the enemy is not anything outside. And we are the peacemakers. We are the peace poles, and we're everywhere in time and space. And finally, we're opening up that treasure house of love and joy without opposite and peace as we reveal the peace that is already here. All right. I love you. I love you all. Thank you, Brother James.
Thank you, Vicky. The peace that is already here. We're not here to create peace. We're here to reveal peace. The peace that is always present, to uncover it. That's it. You are that. I am that. How simple salvation. So just let it be simple. Speak the language. You don't need a translator. You don't need someone translating what you already know. Just be what you already know. So, Scott, Grace, I would love to feel you wrap this up with a nice, neat little bow and song. So I'm going to step aside and let Scott step up. Come on in. Peace is already here. I surrender, shining right through my fears. I surrender, don't need a translator. I'm a love celebrator, not a joy procrastinator. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. Joy, it's already here. I surrender. I surrender. Laughter dissolving my tears. I surrender. Love is inside of us. No need to be serious. I choose to deeply trust. I surrender. I surrender. I surrender. Peace is already here. Thank you. Yes. Peace is already here. I surrender. I surrender to that peace now. We join together in that perfect state of surrender, knowing that everything we need has already been given, especially peace, if we would but open our eyes to see and to know. So now we ask the beloved to come to us, to wholly protect that which is wholly true. We're going to do that by sharing the prayer of protection, as we so often do. Let me bring it up on the screen. So let's do it very quietly, because that song it touched us so deeply. Let's just say these words and really, really feel them. Here we go. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever God is, I am. And all is well. Amen, 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 y punto. And there it is. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day.
Thank you.
See you
I love
tomorrow.
you.
I love you all.
Tomorrow.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.